Hi, my name is Kyle Wynn. I am a sound designer, and I kind of wanted to do a little video to show my process of designing a sound. I want to say that this isn't like the right way to do it. There's no real right way to do this. I'm kind of just showing my thought process and how I kind of go about designing it. So the first sound that I'm gonna make here is just a simple lever sound. I'm working on a game called Raining Snakes, and essentially this is when there's a lever that the snakes are activating once they fall into the particular place. So I'm kind of looking for some click sounds, and here I have in the Janus SFX bundle, it's an older sound bundle, I've got some pretty good samples. I found three in particular that worked well, and I'm kind of going to use them for separate little parts. So the first one is going to be essentially my main bit. And this is just a very nice little click. And what I did before I play it is I just kind of took away the head end here where there's no actual sound being played to make it work better with the game engine. So when it's triggered within the game engine, it automatically sounds instead of having to waiting for it to ramp up. So it's just a super simple sound. It could work very well on its own, but it's not matching 100% what I want it to be. So I'm going to do a little bit of tweaking to it. First off, using the flex time in Logic Pro, I'm just going to speed it down a little bit, slow it down, and what that does is also brings the pitch down because there isn't any, it's not like the pitch shift function as much. It kind of is a much more cleaner sounding pitch down because you're also slowing the time down, so there's no artifacts left over from the plugin itself. So it's a little bassier, a little slower, and I kind of like that. I might need to trim this head bit a little bit just to not have as much extra stuff. Perfect. So it's a little bit lower. I want to add something to kind of balance that out because I did take out a lot of higher end information because I pitched it down. What I'm going to do now is, I think this is the one. Yeah, it's a very quiet but really high pitched little click. What I'm going to need to do is probably crank the volume on this. I might need to even throw in the gain plugin. Actually, I'm going to throw it later on here. Yeah, it's not coming through a lot because it was recorded at a quieter volume, so we're going to use the utility gain plugin here and kind of crank it. And of course, this will really explain or show us if there's any like noise in the background of the recording. So no, it's not. That's pretty good. So I can bring this down, bring this up to 12 if my math is correct. Let's bring it up. Okay. So we'll add that little bit at the end. Okay. You can kind of get a little bit more of a richer sound as opposed to just having that one click. You've got this kind of very fast-paced extra click at the end. I might even want to brighten that up a little bit. Just about 448, 47K here. It's probably too much, so I'll bring this down a little bit. Yeah, so what essentially this is you have a little bit like a wood sound here on this top track, and this is much more of like a metal bracket sound. So maybe if your lever is like interacting with some sort of metal frame, it kind of gives that a little bit more texture, a little bit more character to it. It's not just a super simple sound. And then I wanted to try something with this little bit. It's kind of another kind of metalish sounding click, like a light being turned on. But I did find some really good stuff when I pitched it down. So what I'm going to do is kind of shorten this, trim any excess. Let's raise the waveforms a little bit here. Make sure I'm not missing anything. I'm missing a little bit. One of the other things I wanted to do is to avoid any pops, bring it, fade in very slightly here, here, and here. Didn't work there for some reason. There we go. So what this does is it prevents any sort of pops for the when the sound gets played, and if you're not starting it at 100% zero volume, it'll pop in when it starts playing if you trim it. So I'm adding these little fade-ins to help prevent that. Okay, now we get that little metal bit, but it's not sounding quite like what I want it to. So I'm going to, again, do some pitching. I think I want to do a little bit more than I did previously and have it kind of low. Oh. It's getting there. I think I want to go even lower. There we go. So it's kind of more in key with it. It kind of, the two sounds mesh really well together. Now what I want to do is kind of EQ this out to just get, I don't know which one's which here. Okay. Let's clean up our workspace here. So this last one, This very bottom one, I kind of want to use just the lower end, so I'm going to low pass. Try not to boost too much, probably about 500 here. And essentially just cuts out any high-end information, and then I'm going to do the exact opposite, but maybe not as drastic. So I'm just going to give it about, well, maybe I can do 500. And now what this is doing is this is only keeping the high end of the top track, the low end of the bottom track. And then we're using this last track, and I guess we can probably, let's check it real quick. Oh, I need to analyze it here. We're not getting a whole lot of low end information. We can probably keep it because I don't think it's present enough to really battle with this bottom one. But what I want to do is tighten up the timing on this a little bit. I think I want to pitch this one down. It's still not 100% where I'm looking. Okay, I think this is pretty good so far. It's not a super dense sound, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be. I just want it to have a little bit of character, kind of have a little bit of a metal sound, a little bit of a wood sound kind of compared together. I did some pitch shifting to kind of make two of these sounds a little bit lower in pitch because they weren't what I was looking for, and then I did some very light EQing. Well, I guess not necessarily light, but on this one is very light, but then I kind of just cut out the lows, cut the highs, and kind of made all three of these sounds kind of work together in unison. So that was like the first video. It's kind of simple. Next one might get a little bit more in depth here. I might make a much more complicated sound, but I kind of wanted to start out easy. So this is my process for how I made a very simple sound effect.